Some would say that Arteta invented the light bulb in 2026. Some would even say that in January, towards the end of January, early February, that Arteta even invented the term 6-7 at a press conference. And some would even say that if all of that doesn't sound crazy, that Arsenal might even just win the treble. And honestly, that's not a crazy thing to say, honestly, now that I'm really taking everything in. Yeah, guys, Arsenal could really win the treble potentially. And if you're new here, welcome. I talk about everything football and I want to know what you guys want to know. And I know some of you have been commenting and some of you have been talking and giving me some of your thoughts on everything, but Arsenal treble is nothing you guys have ever talk to me about. I know some of you guys have said I know you brought up Rice Ballon d'Or. There's also Mbappe Ballon d'Or. Rice would have to do a lot, which is true. So that video maybe we can pull back, but this opinion and Arsenal winning Ballon d'Or, actually Arsenal not winning Ballon d'Or, winning the treble, actually sounds a bit realistic, guys. It generally does. And I know some of you might be being like, oh, there you go, Jalen. You're just being an Arsenal fan again, and you're just out here, making these crazy claims, like that one guy in the AFTV clip that goes like, we're gonna win the Champions League. You guys know that clip. That's not what I'm doing here. Arsenal has every right to feel like they can win a treble. First in the Premier League, first in an FA Cup final, and first in the Champions League. And let's first break off into this Prem. We all know that Prem, it's a close race right now. 6 points ahead of City. But all Arsenal needs to do is just keep winning for the rest of the season. And we're 2/3 of the season completed, which shouldn't be a hard task for a team that's in first and has beaten most of the teams that they played, right? That's why you're in first, right? The only thing is you win all your games and you beat City. There you go. And that shouldn't be hard. And if it is, then you don't deserve to be champions, in my opinion. And I think you guys can agree on that. I know some of you guys might be saying, but Jalen, it's Arsenal. They bottle every season. Which, I mean, fair enough, they have bottled in the past for 3 seasons now, and I've seen it with my own eyes. So, do I get a bit worried around January? Absolutely. But am I worried this time? A little less, because if we really think about it, if you look at Bukayo Saka, he hasn't been performing, but in previous seasons he would have had to, and if he didn't, then that was really bad news for Arsenal. But this year it's a whole completely different story. Odegaard hasn't been performing, Saka hasn't been performing, and it doesn't change a lot of things, which is great. Gyökeres has somehow become Arsenal's best goal scorer this season, and shout out to this guy. He signed own goal for I think £0. That's a pretty big steal, guys. Not gonna lie, £0 for own goal. And he's been one of their top contributors. Where do you find these guys? What academies? So I think that's been big for us in the Premier League, and they've won games where previous seasons they've either lost or tied. So improvement. So Prem, I think, is fair to say. FA Cup. Now, the hard thing about these things, like the FA Cup, and especially when you're playing a team as good as Manchester City with the likes of Semenyo, Turkey, this, I don't know if you've heard of this big Norwegian guy. I mean, he's a pretty average striker in my opinion. He's pretty average. I don't know, his name's Holland or something. He scores about a goal a game pretty much. He's pretty good at football. So any of those guys can turn up on any day, and that's the game, You poke one of those bears and that game's over. So I don't think FA Cup is there yet, but I will say that it's not one of the stronger City side that we have seen from these recent years. We've seen some insanely crazy City sides. We've seen the team with Aguero. I mean, that was a lot of the teams. We've seen City with De Bruyne, which again, that's a lot of the City teams. But we've seen the City team with the record point. We've seen the treble winning City team, which again is not the same City team as we see now. This is a new, youthed up, is that the right word? Revitalized version of Man City, where we see players like Cherky, we see players like Holland, who is young. Yes, guys, Holland is still young. We see players like, I'm just thinking about Turkey because he's been amazing, but we have new signs like Semenyo as well, Doku as well, who is still very young, you know, and City still doesn't even have like a proper right back or proper left back yet. You know, there's still parts of the squad that are missing, and that's why people are saying it's not the same City squad as previous seasons, because those previous season City players, whew, you're telling me they had Cancelo at right back, one of the best fullbacks at the time. You had Rodri and everything like that, which Rodri's getting back in the game, but it feels like sometimes he can't catch up, which is interesting to see. You had the likes of De Bruyne, and then you had Haaland, and then you have Mahrez, you know, all of these great players. You had Aguero, you know. It was great to see, but now we've kind of seen that kind of regress a bit for City. Although, mind you, they've made some amazing signings with Semenyo and Gehi. Like, I'd take those at Arsenal, but there's a system they need to learn, and and Guardiola likes to play a very specific type of football, you know, and you have to get used to that. And are City gonna be used to that? I actually don't know, guys. And then next, let's talk about the Champions League. This is the big part. This is a big part why I think Arsenal might get the trouble. My main thing here is we've seen the Champions League. It's a new tournament. And if you guys don't know about the Champions League style and why it's different from previous years, previously you play in a little group stage. Top two teams in that group stage would move on to knockout rounds. Kind of like in the World Cup. I don't know how many times off top of my head you'd play every team. I'm pretty sure it's twice. And every time you won a game in that little group, you get 3 points. If you tied, 1 point, and lost 0, right? And then you would move out to the knockouts, right? Top two teams would go into the knockouts. UEFA has completely flipped that around. So every team in the Champions League plays each other once. Yeah, every team plays each other once, I'm pretty sure, in the Champions League. And then whoever performs the best out of all those teams, top 8 teams get an automatic qualification into the knockout rounds. The other 8 to 16 teams have to do a little play-in where they play against each other, and then they have to play one of the better teams eventually, which I love this format because I think it's kind of shown, or it gives us an index of like where all the leagues are at right now. So basically we've seen, guys, with the Premier League this season, and this is where I'm getting on the index part, guys. And before you guys start typing and you're like, the Prem is a farmers league because City has won it so much recently. City's just that better of a team than everybody else in the world, guys. But basically, we are seeing teams like Tottenham and Newcastle finishing in these playoff spots. We've seen Tottenham finish 4th. What is Tottenham doing in the Premier League this season, guys? Actually, I'm going to pull it up right now. Let's look at the Premier League table. PL table. Premier League table. Tottenham is currently sitting in 14th in the Premier League, and they're in the top 4 positions of the Champions League. This is Champions League, guys. This is supposed to be the best of the best teams from around the world. Not around the world, from Europe, basically the champions playing one another. And you're telling me the 14th place team in the Premier League now is in the top 4? If that doesn't, either Tottenham's going on an insane run, or that just shows you the quality of their Premier League, because we also have a team, Newcastle, who's 11th, also in that playing as well. You know, so are everybody else just bad or something? Can we assume that? And the only team that Arsenal I was worried about, but there is a team I'm worried about now as well for Arsenal, was Bayern. And that game ended 6-0. Not to say that Bayern would let that happen again. I absolutely doubt it. But oh, the only team I'm concerned is this Barcelona team that can play some really, really amazing football. But it just goes to show you that I think all pathways are open for Arsenal to go for the treble this season. And it's not me being too ambitious, me being too crazy. It's a realistic assumption and something to say, like, hey guys, is this treble thing happening or not? And I need you guys to let me know what you think about this. Like, do you think Arsenal can win the treble, or am I just being a deluded Arsenal fan? You know, I think it's very valid. You have a team with solid scoring, with players who, like, if you look at the scoring, the top goal scorer is Djokovic with 7 goals. And in previous seasons, we've heard that, oh, you need a 20 goal a season player to basically win anything. But at this point right now, we're seeing that's actually not true. It's this weird sustainable football that's going on right now. Weird, very weird sustainable football that's going on right now. Basically, we are seeing a team that anybody can turn up, anybody can score, and that's good because football is a team sport. And so if Arsenal somehow pulls this together and wins the treble, I'm not going to say it's the most significant treble because that's just crazy. There have been some crazy treble winnings. Anything treble is madly impressive. But to say it's one of the most sustainable trebles win victories that I've seen would definitely be a valid statement to make because I mean yes, there are some standout players like Declan Rice for sure. If Arsenal didn't have Rice, I feel like their season would be completely different. You have players like Gabriel, Saliba, great players. Also Raya, shout out Raya. I think he's been amazing this season. There are some standout players in that squad. We could say Saka in most seasons, just not too much this season. But there's nobody carrying the squad, guys? So it's definitely an interesting dynamic to see for the first time in forever, I guess we could say. Not first time in history, but first time we are seeing a team win with as a team, not just a Messi or a Lewandowski or a Robin or a Ribery. It's winning collectively as a team because, to be honest with you, I don't think any of those Arsenal players deserve a Ballon d'Or this season. Maybe we could say Rice is in contention in one of the higher up spots, but do I think he's competing heavily? No, I think Mbappe, Haaland are competing heavily. I think Haaland, Mbappe, somebody is gonna say Yamal somewhere there should be competing for that Ballon d'Or. Do I think any of the Arsenal players should be heavily competing? No, and I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. But that's what team football is. It's a team sport. You need a team to play collectively, and we're seeing that full team basically at Arsenal, which is pretty cool. So I think it's all these points together go and point to say that yes, I think Arsenal can win not a Ballon d'Or, but a treble, and that's not a crazy statement to say. And I don't know how you guys would feel about this. I know some of you might say, I mean, it's too early, Jalen. It's like it's February and everything like that. And how can you make such a bold prediction? Like Champions League isn't in a while. There's like 3 more months till the Prem season is done, and a lot can happen. And I know, yes, a lot can happen, but the question is, when is the time do we start taking this seriously? Because when was the time we started to take City's treble winning season seriously too? There's just a lot of factors, guys, that go into this, but I don't think it's too crazy of a statement to say, to be honest with you. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys all next time. Peace.